Welcome back to Creepy Crawler's Garage and another week of daily updates. I don't know if you can tell from these bags under my eyes or the little extra gray in my beard, but we've been working some late nights in the garage, so let's head in and take a look. Don't go anywhere. My main goal for the TRX-Z project over the weekend was to get the front and back bumpers done, and we came close to getting them finished. So I thought what we'd do, start up front, look at the front bumper, then we'll move around back and see where we got with the back bumper. Now, if you remember from last Friday, we already had the main shape of the bumper kind of built in, and then the mounting, how it mounts to the original TRX-4 mount, that was all already built out. If you want to check that out, go ahead and check out last Friday's episode. You can see how all that was done. But what I've done since then, one, is I removed these panels that were right here sitting in front of the lights, because this is where Wes over at Wes Made Builds is going to make us some panels with the skull logo cut out of them. And I'll get that file over to you, Wes, that has the skull logo. I'll get that over to you hopefully this evening. So we'll get those, he'll get those cut out for us, and we'll get those mounted in. And of course, the lights will shine through those skull logos, and it should look pretty cool in some dark video or night video footage. That should look pretty cool coming at you with those skulls glowing. The other thing I did is I added in a panel of diamond plate here. We took damage on this side of the truck, so I figured we probably would have taken this damage to this side of the bumper also. So I went ahead and just replaced that panel like we had to replace it with a piece of diamond plate we had laying around. And then I used some strip styrene, some different size strips down here at the bottom to give it some stiffness. But I used different sizes just to give it some variety and some interest. And then, of course, you can see the main thing we added or did was add these ribs down the length or down the height of the bumper. And what this does is it does multiple things. One is it gives us some rigidity to the bumper, gives us some strength to the bumper, so when we're driving down the road, it's not wiggling all crazy on us. And it also it gives it some dimension, right? So when we're photographing or filming, it's going to have dimension to it, and it also gives it more of that cow catcher, or what we're calling a zombie catcher look. Gives it, and it makes it just look like teeth and a little meaner, I think. Anyways, I like how those turned out. I went ahead and damaged them up a little bit too, and then we weathered this. And what I did, I went ahead and took some footage of me weathering this up so you can kind of see the process a little bit. And mainly, I just used some rub and buff, and then I like to start with something like this. I'll use rub and buff in a wire brush or a very stiff brush to give it those scratch marks that it needs. So when stuff hits this bumper, it's reflecting off of it from the different directions. So I try to use that wire brush from those angles on the bumper that things would hit and reflect and give those scratch marks. And then I also like to use just a sponge to go over things like the welds and things that I just want to hit the highlights on. So just the top surfaces on, I'll use just a sponge for something like that. And then it's just a matter of adding the details. Like what I did was heat up a pair of scissors just to give some dings and some dents. Makes it look like we took some damage to the front of the bumper. Maybe somebody shot it with a shell, or maybe it was just some kind of big projectile has hit the front of the bumper. And then of course I just use a little bit of that rub and buff and the same process to give it a little effect, like it hit and reflected off. And then I'll just go back over it, and I'll do this multiple times. In fact, I'll do it some more, is with some black wash, just to give it coats of black wash, just to give it some variety in the depth of black, so it's not just a flat black. And in fact, if you look at the bumper now, I'll go back and probably do that multiple times more now that I've even added more. Like I added some little decals here that are military decals. What I'm hoping it looks like, and maybe it looks like, is that we sourced the metal to build this bumper from industrial grade machinery, or maybe even some military grade machinery. That's where these metal plates came from, because you would have to think, if we're going to build this bumper, we want to build it out of thick iron or out of bulletproof stuff, which would come from a military vehicle. So I was trying to give that impression that this came off of a military vehicle. And then I also just went out in the back garden and just grabbed some dirt and added some dirt, and then I'll put the black wash over that too, and it'll give just a full effect. And we'll see that tomorrow when it's finally, like the finished effect will be done tomorrow once I have a little more time. Speaking of salvaging parts to make this bumper, so I talked about using like road signs that we had weathered up to use for patchwork, and maybe even doing like some chain link fence with barbed wire. I think I'm not going to go that route with this bumper. I think that's the right thing to do. But then I really do like these like the signs and that idea. So I think what we're going to do is I'll do another truck because we're going to need multiple vehicles out there. I think I'm going to do another vehicle with just that idea. So it's like a scavenger's vehicle. Maybe it's a guy that we interact with that we buy parts from, something like that, and he's just a scavenger. And his entire vehicle is just done in scavenged parts. So like the armor of the vehicle is road signs and manhole covers and that kind of, it's all just scavenged parts using like the barbed wire chain link fence idea, that kind of stuff. I think that'll be a good idea. So I'm going to save these for that project to make, I think, what's going to be like the scavenger character of the series. But let me go ahead and turn this around real quick, and then we can look at the back bumper, because I also started on the back bumper. There's a couple things I wanted to talk about with it. One, the main thing I've been doing with it is adding some surfaces back here. So I had somebody comment, and it made a very good point, is this is our shop truck that we're going out into that world to get parts with, but where the heck are we putting the parts? There's just guns everywhere. So what I'm doing in the back is trying to build out some platforms like this that I can then put some tie downs on, and then we can have parts that are tied down, that are tie strapped on there. So we can do some little zip ties or some bungees or whatever. I think I'll probably do the same thing up on the frame, build some platforms where we can actually put the parts that we're going out to pick up, because it doesn't make sense to have a parts running truck and nowhere to put them. So that's mainly what I'm trying to do with this back bumper, is kind of build out. I put some diamond plate for a platform. Not only will it tie in this, the cage will tie into it, but it'll give us a nice platform to keep and put the parts that we're carrying back to the shop. I hope that makes sense. I'll keep building it out further up underneath the cage also. And I want to get that done so then I can finish building out the cage, because I'll have where the bars need to run to. But anyways, that's kind of where we're at with the back bumper and where we're at overall with the TRX-Z project. Let me know what you think. Of course, leave me your ideas down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. I will be hinging probably this evening, maybe tomorrow. I'll try to start hinging the back windows so that they can pop open with guns and all that stuff. But basically, we just got to get this back end finished, the cage, the bumper, just finish detailing the front bumper, make those pop out, and then we can start on the body work or the body paint. And that'll have us, we got to do the meshes in the windows, but that'll have us real close to being finished with the TRX-Z project. And now just a quick update on the Dodge. I'll make it real quick. I know I rambled on for a while about the TRX-Z project, but I wanted to bring you guys in for each stage of the weathering process for the Dodge. And if you remember right, what we did is we had the original blue of the body, then we basically primed over it, cut back some of that prime, then we matte cleared it, then we added in rust all around all the seams and edges and everything. I matte cleared that, then I gave the whole thing a spray. This whole body got a spray of hairspray, and I let that hairspray completely dry, and then I coated it with this blue, this nice, pretty, glossy blue, and then I just started to cut it back. So basically what you go in, basically underneath this blue, there's hairspray, which is water soluble, and you can use a nice stiff brush. You really don't want to use a wire brush, but you don't want to use a wire brush because it'll scratch it too much, but just a stiff brush. I usually use like a toothbrush, and then you just use water and you just start cutting it back. Let me see if I can bring it forward, and then see how what's below the blue starts to come out. So you can start, and I barely started on this. I ran out of time. I had to come film this for you guys. But you can start to see that some of that rust is showing through. So that's the idea, is you just keep tearing this back and tearing it back. And what I'll end up doing, or what you want to do, and a good way to do this is with reference pictures if you need be. Just look up on Google, reference weathered bodies, or whatever you want to use. And I like to use real pictures of real cars, like in junkyards, because then you see how the sun will weather. And basically, it's going to weather this top section. So most all of this top is going to get cut back. And then around where the rust spots are, that's all going to get cut back. And where the rust, the seams are at, and around the bottoms of the doors, I'm going to cut back all this, all the blue that I just put on here so that rust starts coming through. I do want to leave some of it behind just so it looks like it's bubbling up behind the paint. But the top will get pulled way back to that, what looked like that real faded blue and primer. And then the last step, which we haven't done yet, but I'll bring you in on this too. Then this real gloss, pretty gloss is going to go away. And we'll use the salt method to take care of that. But this evening, let me finish cutting back all this blue. Tomorrow we'll get a look at that, and then we'll start the salt process to give it how I like to give a weathered clear coat. But anyways, that's where we're at on the Dodge. Let me know what you think down below, how it's turning out. I know it's basically just a blue body now. Unfortunately, I ran out of time. This blue took a while to dry, and you do want to make sure it's completely dry before you start that process with the brush. So it took a little while. I didn't get much done today, but we'll get it finished up this evening. Let me know what you think down below. Thank you for joining me today, and I just want to say a big thank you for the support on this series. All you guys out there that are watching this series, thank you so much, and hitting that like button. I really do appreciate it. And I want to say a big thank you to a few people like D&D Sports, who is going to be hooking me up with my Traxxas parts that I need for the TRX-Z project. Thank you so much. You're going to get some special thank yous. Don't worry. I want to say thank you to Wes over at Wes Made Builds. Go check out his channel. He's got a video out right now that's pretty cool. Check it. He's finishing up a Jeep, a military Jeep that's really cool. Make sure and go check that out. But thank you so much for your support. And I want to say a big thank you to Addy Monster RC, sending one of the characters that's going to be in the series, sending that to me. I really thank you. But I thank all of you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hit that like button if you would. It does help out. And hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. That really helps the channel. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.